When you make a deal, it's all built on trust, right? But what happens when that trust gets shattered because someone tells you something that, well, just isn't true? Today, we're going to solve a little puzzle together, and it's all about the anatomy of a lie in contract law.
And this whole explainer, it's all going to boil down to answering one single question. A question that really gets to the heart of the matter when a deal is based on a falsehood.
So here's the question. Which type of misrepresentation involves the deceit of one party by the other? Is it all of them? Maybe just one? Look, don't worry if the answer isn't jumping out at you just yet. Stick with me, and by the end of this, you'll know exactly why there's only one right choice. All right, so before we can even think about picking an answer, we've got to get our heads around the key concept here. Misrepresentation. What in the world does that actually mean, legally speaking? Okay, so here's the deal. It's not just any little white lie. It has to be a false statement about a material fact, something that's actually important. Like, say, telling someone a car has 30,000 miles on it when it really has 100,000. That's a big deal, right? And, this is crucial, that false statement has to be the very thing that makes the other person say, yep, I'm in, let's do this. It's basically the lie that seals the deal. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. The law is smart about this. It knows that not all untruths are created equal. It actually looks at what was going on in the head of the person who made the statement. So let's break down those three types from our little quiz: innocent, negligent, and fraudulent.
First, let's talk about innocent misrepresentation. Just think of this one as an honest-to-goodness mistake. Maybe someone selling a painting tells you it's from the 1920s because, hey, that's what the person they bought it from told them. They genuinely believe it's true. They're not trying to pull a fast one on you. They're just wrong.
Okay, next up is negligent misrepresentation. This is a bit of a step up in seriousness. This isn't an honest mistake. It's a careless one. Picture this. A real estate agent tells you a piece of land is zoned for a business, but they never actually bothered to check the official city records. They didn't lie on purpose necessarily, but they didn't do their homework. They had no reasonable grounds to believe what they were saying was true.
And that brings us to the big one, the most serious of the three: fraudulent misrepresentation. This is the intentional, straight-up lie. This is the car seller who literally gets in there and rolls back the odometer. They know the statement is false. It's all about deliberate, calculated deception. This little table really breaks it down perfectly. Just look at the maker's state of mind. For innocent, it's an honest belief. Then you move to negligent, and it becomes carelessness. And finally, with fraudulent, you get to knowledge of falsity. See that progression? The key element goes from a simple mistake to a lack of due care, and then all the way to a clear intent to deceive. That difference? It's absolutely everything.
All right, so now that we've got all that figured out, I think we're ready. Let's go back to that original question and finally unlock the answer.
Okay, let's read the question one more time, but this time, let's really zero in on one crucial word. The word is deceit. Now, what does deceit mean? It means you're intentionally trying to mislead someone, right? For your own benefit. That's not a word you'd use for an honest mistake, or even a careless one.
And boom, there's our answer. When the question is specifically about deceit, well, there's only one option that truly fits the bill. The correct answer has to be fraudulent misrepresentation.
And the logic here is just crystal clear, isn't it? An innocent mistake? No intent there. A negligent mistake? That's about being careless, not about having a scheme to trick someone. Only fraudulent misrepresentation is built from the ground up on that core idea of deliberate deceit.
So you might be wondering, why does the law get so specific about this stuff? Why make these careful distinctions? Well, it's because the consequences, they're completely different for each one. Knowing the type of lie determines what the person who is wronged can actually do about it.
And yeah, those consequences definitely escalate. If it was an innocent mistake, you can usually just back out of the contract, no harm, no foul. If it was a negligent, careless mistake, you can back out and sue for any damages you suffered. But for fraud, for that deliberate deceit, oh, now we're talking. The law lets you cancel the contract and sue for potentially much bigger damages because it's punishing that intentional act of deception.
So the main takeaway here is that this isn't just some boring academic exercise. This is the legal system's way of making sure things are fair. It's what protects you and me from getting stuck in deals we were tricked into. And it holds people accountable for what they say, whether it was an honest mistake, a careless one, or a flat-out lie. And that really leaves us with one last thing to think about. The next time you're in a big negotiation, making a major agreement, how will you listen? Not just to the words being said, but to the intent behind them. because being able to spot the difference between a simple mistake and a deliberate deceit, well, that can be everything.